A walk among the stars, the monsters, the paranormal, and supernatural. Join your tour guides, Justin and Josh, on this cryptic journey through life and beyond. Welcome to It's Cryptic Out There.
Welcome everybody to another episode of It's Cryptic Out There podcast. I am your host Justin, alongside my co-host Josh.
Hey everybody, welcome back.
Welcome back. So, interesting last episode.
Last episode? Yeah, very. Wild.
Very.
Had a lot going on.
A lot going on.
Creepy, spooky house.
Absolutely. Enjoyed the investigation.
Investigation was really cool. It's like our fifth paranormal investigation now.
Yeah.
So if anybody you think your house is haunted or something,
Call the Cryptic Boys.
call the Cryptic Boys. We're Ghostbusters.
540-358-1583 is the Cryptic hotline.
There you go, easy.
Heck yeah.
Easy.
Alright, so this episode today is going to be heavy. We've never done an interview like this before.
Mm-hmm.
It's the story about Timothy Wayne Dalton and his disappearance back in 2007. We interview his mother, and she gives her take on the story. What she has theories on what may have happened. We don't know, but she gives her side, and it gets pretty emotional. It gets heavy. But like we said, we haven't done an interview like this before. But let's start out with kind of what's going on, what happened back in 2007 with Timothy. Let's read off the story.
Squeaky.
Squeaky is
As was his nickname gifted to him by his grandfather.
Absolutely. Timothy Wayne Dalton, or Squeaky. This is by a Reddit post that I saw, but I don't know if it came from an article or not, but it was so well written. I'm just going to read it off. There really is no better way to describe Monroe County, West Virginia, than the middle of nowhere. One of the state's most southerly counties, Monroe is perhaps the most overwhelming rural place in the entire eastern United States. Wow. There is not a single spotlight or fast food outlet anywhere in the whole county, and has one of the lowest population densities of any county in the whole nation. Much like any rural area in the eastern U.S., Monroe has its fair share of problems with opioid addiction and the crimes associated with it. But a disappearance or a murder is a rare event indeed, and when one actually occurs, it stirs up rather a lot of attention from citizens and law enforcement. So, in April of 2007, when a dark red Chevy pickup truck was found abandoned behind a derelict building in Peterstown, it sent ripples of fear through the small community in which it was discovered. And it's because the truck belonged to a man named Timothy Wayne Dalton. And by that point, Timothy had been missing for almost 3 weeks. According to his missing persons profile, Timothy was just over 200 pounds and had dark brown hair and pale blue eyes. He was last seen wearing a dark blue button-up shirt, light gray shorts, and black Nike sneakers. There's a good chance he was also wearing a dog tag necklace, a relic of a relative's military service, and was also carrying a pocket knife. Close friends stated that he sometimes went unshaven for maybe a week at a time, but was never known to sport any kind of lengthy facial hair, and was known to talk with a subtle stutter. In the brief period before the truck was found, local sheriff's deputies had managed to build up a picture of the events that had preceded Timothy's disappearance. He had paid a visit to his mother on March 26th and had apparently behaved perfectly regularly for the most part. They made small talk about his firewood cutting job, which, as slowly as it seemed, made Timothy's mother very proud that her son was gainfully employed, especially when the economy was tanking in such a dreadful way. But at certain points, Timothy's mother noticed he was acting rather skittishly, peering out of her trailer window every so often as if watching his beloved mother, or for someone or something. It's entirely unusual for a boy to act in a protective manner over his beloved mother, so she didn't think too much of his watchful behavior. Yet, this was the last time her son was ever seen alive, with the only clue to his potential whereabouts being the abandoned truck that was found a fortnight and a half later. Despite his mother's concerns, local law enforcement insisted that there was no foul play involved in his disappearance. Yet there are solid reports from reputable sources that when the truck was discovered, the window of the driver's side of the vehicle was found to be broken, with glass lying on the interior, indicating it had been smashed from the outside. Despite this, police declared that there was no clear indication that there had been any kind of struggle, speculating that the window might have been broken before or after he had disappeared. That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
Speaking to Timothy's family members, police heard how it would be very out of character for Timothy to just vanish without at least informing them the information he was going somewhere.
Very out of character. I mean, just to
Yeah.
take a little break
Go
here
ahead.
real quick. That is some of the fucking stupidest shit that is always said
Yep.
in a missing person's case. What do you mean they just didn't tell anybody? Have you ever watched Unsolved Mysteries? Or how many kids have been missing for 30 fucking years?
Mm-hmm.
That is such a... It's bullshit.
You would think they would change it by now.
Yeah, it's bullshit to sit there and say, oh, well, no one just goes missing. Well, guess what, motherfucker? They do.
Yeah.
And sorry if it seems a little heated, but it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
It is ridiculous. How many... Watch a Netflix documentary.
How many Forensic File episodes?
Just the incompetence.
Yeah.
To sit there and say, it just sounds like you don't want to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it sounds like.
It does. And while it was a well-known fact that Timmy had a dabble in some nonviolent crime in his past, he had no outstanding warrants and was not a suspect in any recent burglary case. He has been described by many as a timid fellow with a heart of gold, and as far as his friends know, he was not involved in the narcotics trade, either as a dealer or as a user. This essentially eliminated the possibility that he had skipped town out of fear of being arrested for something, a theory that was compounded by the fact that pretty much all of his meager belongings could still be found at his place of residence. Peterstown has a population of just less than 700. People talk, people see things, but apparently nobody saw hid nor hair of Timothy after he'd visited his mother's place. The woods around the town might be dark and deep, but they're actually kind of commonly frequented by local hunters who often scour the backwoods for fresh meat to put on the table to save a few dollars on the grocery bill. Surely, if Timothy was murdered and dumped in the woods, a hunter or perhaps a hunting dog would have come across his remains at some point. As far as I can tell, it really is as if the guy just disappeared, dropped off the face of the earth one day for some unknown reason. But maybe it's the case that whoever did disappear, Timothy knew a little too much about the process of searching and finding someone. Maybe it was a person who had experience in finding bodies, who for professional reasons would know the most effective method of making someone just up and vanish without leaving so much of as a trace of them behind. But whoever that might be is still completely up for debate, yet perhaps it might be better if we avoid any kind of heavy speculation, lest we offend the wrong person, a person who might just be violent, unstable, and corrupt. Well, with that being said, we were able to speak with Timothy's mother, Ruth Doyle.
Thank you so much also.
Yes. By the way, thank you so much, Ruth. We're just going to go ahead and play it. Just a warning, it's very heavy, like we said. But here we go.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello. Let me, hold on a second. Let me cut this off. Yeah. This is Ruth Doyle.
Who's this?
Yeah, Ruth Doyle. I'm Timothy's mother.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, it's nice to talk to you. Are you ready to answer a few questions for the podcast?
Yeah, I'm ready. I got some company down here, but, I ain't going to say it's going to be kind of easy kind of here because I didn't. It's going to be hard. So,
I'm sure.
I'm ready.
Well,
Don't feel pressured to answer anything that you don't want to answer. This really is going at your pace. So if there's something you don't want to answer, you can just flat out say, I don't feel comfortable answering that, and we'll move right on.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, let's start off with how was Timothy as a child growing up?
Well, he was okay. I mean, he started, like as a teenager and got up to the age of 14. He started running around pretty much at Peterstown where we lived.
Mm-hmm.
And me and my husband had divorced. And, of course, when my mom passed away, he didn't feel comfortable living in the home that we had. So we moved back to Nares. So when we moved back to Nares, he got in some trouble in high school with some other boys fighting,
Yeah.
and things like that. And so he didn't finish school. He was in almost 11th grade.
Okay.
And, he was just, out with his friends and stuff and things. And he wasn't a bad kid or nothing. He just, he liked running around with his friends. And I never seen Squeaky take drugs or anything. He never took, I had another son, which he's 33 now. He never took drugs. If he was doing any drugs, he never took drugs around. And then he had half-sisters and stuff. My husband remarried, and he never done nothing around them.
Okay.
I mean, if he was doing anything. So, he ran around with a lot of people, and not a lot of people came to the house. There was some friends he ran around with. The parents didn't have nothing to do with this one guy, and he would bring him home with him up to the house or to his papa's and feed the guy because his parents didn't want to have nothing to do with him. So,
wow.
He was like a good kid. I ain't saying he was in trouble. That time he went down at Grants at Rich Creek, between Rich Creek and Peterstown one time. He had money in his pocket and he was with some friends and he stole something, like not even $20 worth of stuff. And I don't know why he done it, but, but I mean, he wasn't a bad kid. He just...
I was getting ready to ask you, what was his personality like with his family?
He loved his family. He loved his family. He was always like being with his brothers and his sisters. His sister that's named Dallas, he the stepmom asked him, they were talking one day about names, and he said, if I ever have a girl, I would like to have him named after Dallas Cowboys. So she named her Dallas.
Wow, nice.
So
Okay.
he was around him all the time, coming back and forth. And like I said, he stayed with his papa son because sometimes, his papa was up in age. He was hitting 70. Of course, when he passed away, he was like in the 80s, almost 90s.
Yeah.
So, but Squeaky wasn't here when he passed.
So what were you doing the day you found out he was missing?
Well, what had happened the last day I had talked with Squeaky, I was getting ready to have a procedure done, surgery. So what had happened, he said, Mom, he said, he worked part-time, sometimes odd jobs. He had a couple vehicles. So he said, I may be, if it's going to rain, I may be doing some wood, I'll be down Papa's or something like that. So I said, okay. And so he said he may be up, he may not. So, of course, we always told each other bye and love you and stuff like that. And I had been sick because I had to have a procedure done. And so anyway, that's before I'd done the procedure, but they were talking about having the procedure done. And I was feeling real bad that night. So he came in to sit down beside the bed, and we talked for a little while. And, of course, before he had also seen his dad, that day too, and seen him. And so he said that he was going down Papa's. He had his truck and things like that. He had a little small red looking truck, but he was going to go do some wood because he was working somewhere down in Peterstown with some people doing part-time work, and sometimes he done a little bit of construction with a guy up there at Giles and stuff. So that was the last time I had spoke with him that day.
Yeah. How did the community react to Timothy being gone?
Well, when the day that we got news that what happened was my ex-husband had asked me when was the day that I had heard from Squeaky. And then, he said he had been down Papa's, which is Ricky's dad. And he said that, and Dave was kind of where he had felt years ago when he was younger, and he sometimes didn't remember too much stuff, but he had some days messed up, I think. But he said Timmy had left there, said he was going to go cut wood and this and that, so that's what he told his son. So Ricky told me, and then he came back to the house, and he said something, he said, it's like, Dad says he was down there. He's supposed to be going, but he ain't come to the house, and he ain't come to see you or anything. He said, when was the last time you saw him? And I told him when I was in there, and Squeaky had come here and talked to me. And then, so when we started this and that, he had this thing of this old girlfriend that he had went to Tennessee to see, and we thought he might have been back up there with her. And I wasn't for sure, so Ricky started calling around because goddaughters, which, I call them my goddaughters, but real close with girls, so he started, because they were younger, around Diane's daughter's age, so started calling him and asked if Squeaky was up there, and so we didn't know what to do. We started trying to contact the people he ran around with, and seeing, and one of them that I did go to see, but we kept looking the next couple of days and something didn't add up. And before Squeaky's birthday, it's like when he disappeared. His birthday would have been April Fool's Day.
Wow.
Yeah, he would have been 26.
Yeah.
So we started doing the flyers, posting stuff up, and putting up a reward. Not that we had a whole lot of money, like $1,000 or $2,000 reward. And then it seemed like every poster that we put up, because we printed stuff off, it seemed like everything from Peterstown to Harrisburg, it just disappeared.
Wow.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Well, how well did the police do investigating at the time?
Well, I'm going to tell you. they, not to be like whether we wasn't poor, but we wasn't rich, but whether it's cause Squeaky had been in trouble, it wasn't like he was a college student or something like that, but he wasn't a bad kid. He was, like I said, he took people in when they didn't have a place to stay.
Yeah.
Down to his pawpaws and stuff like that. Of course, up our houses, if we had other kids, you don't allow people, especially, not that Squeaky ever done anything around them, it's just bringing people in and stuff, but he would bring them up to the house and things like that. But the law was not good at all.
Yeah.
Especially Peterstown, the day what had happened. And one of the guys that, fortunately, I did not know the guy that I knew. His name was Lenny. I worked at Plastic Furniture. I did not know he knew Squeaky. So Lenny was one of the friends he traded cars sometimes with and stuff. So what happened one day is, before Squeaky had me take to some friend's house, one day he would go up to Lenny's or somebody's house, he would have me drop him off or come get him or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew where Lenny lived. So the day that his truck was found, I was the one who found it.
Oh.
And the reason how I come to find it is because the day, I was trying to get a hold of, sometimes you go to Lenny's house or something, which I didn't go up there. I went to familiar just when Squeaky would have me take him up there, and that's the only way I know when he lived up there. So his wife come to the door, and she said that she had saw a truck that looked exactly like Timmy's truck down behind the old bank in Peterstown.
Yeah.
And Stephen, I could say, he's Ricky's son, which I consider him as being a son to me, because I've known him for years. So Stephen was with me. I didn't want to go by myself, so Stephen went with me. And we went down there, and sure enough, you pull up, there was a post office, and there was that little red truck. And sure enough, you get out, and I told Stephen not to touch nothing. You look in there, and there was the windows. The truck had been sitting down there because it was soaking wet.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he had the gun in him. He had a gun, a rifle in the back of his seat. He had some things. He had some clothes, a stereo and little box stereo or something. So, but we just looked, and I said, I got to call Ricky, and he was at the stock market, and his billfold was in there with his license in it. And no money.
Yeah.
And no sign of the keys. So we called the law, and the law come down there. This young cop, and I'm talking about years ago, he was young. He started looking around, and he just thought that, they started talking crazy stuff, that he probably just a teenager. He took off running around with some of his friends, or that hard rain came in, mentioned something about the creek getting up. And I said, well, you wouldn't have drowned it in the creek or anything goes through Peterstown or anything like that. But he mentioned something about how high the creek, but he said he might be running around on a bend with his friends. So his dad come down there, and he was furious too. So he demanded something be done. So this is the awful thing. And it's that after you find your son's truck, after thinking, not knowing what happened, where he was at or anything about it, the cops, all they wanted to do was move the vehicle. So just Ricky demanded that somebody else get on the case. So they had somebody else down there, and then they wanted the truck moved. So Ricky, the keys, they had to tear the ignition up and to get the truck moved to haul it back to the house.
Wow.
And so, of course, Timmy had that truck, a little old truck, and he had a little Jeep thing that his dad had got off to his brother, off his brother. He had that little Blazer, so it ain't like, he had vehicles, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So why would he leave he wouldn't have left his family. He loved his family.
Mm-hmm.
And he was staying with days, especially as sick as Papa was sick as he'd been, because he's old. He lived down in there by himself, and he's the only one that stayed with him.
Yeah. What was there was there anything that stuck out or was off-putting to you?
It was just I've never had nobody. I've never had to go through this.
Oh yeah.
It's crazy. It's like, how does somebody disappear suddenly? And Ricky finally got older. Diane said no, he wasn't up there with her, because once before he had took off with one of his friends to go up Tennessee to see her, because she was a runaround. She was a runaround, but he came back and stuff. But I don't know. It's weird how somebody disappears, and then when we try to get a hold of people at Peterstown Law that handled the cases, one was Trooper. He was kind of a smart aleck,
Yeah.
He and Ricky, I think, had some words, and he told him one day he wanted to meet him down at the town office, Peterstown, and he just said that he had some words with Ricky, and that he wouldn't do nothing to help find his son. And there were some horrible things brought up after the war went out. It was just stuff like they had seen him in Rich Creek. He had dyed his hair at Glenlyn and all this and that. People had started seeing him because they was wanting rewards, or a biker gang had killed him. And it was just a lot of rumors like that. People calling the house every day.
Yeah.
And things. It was a lot of stuff. It wasn't that so much that we had a lot of money, but Squeaky did have an account that was open at credit union that he had some money in there, and he did have some life insurance on him up there at the credit union. But Squeaky, when he was working, he opened an account up there, and I guess after all the years, it just closed because we didn't fool with it. We just, Ricky put up that reward, $1,000 or $2,000, just to see if anybody had seen him, and especially after, we lived in Peterstown, Ricky lived in Peterstown, and some people knew him and stuff like that. It was just ugly, people calling up saying that after you thought that your son had got killed, been murdered or something, didn't know where he was at, just waiting on him. So I had his stuff, I had his birthday cake, had his balloons. And I just thought, that's where we all thought that he cut back up there with her at Tennessee, and he never came home. I just know that they probably thought I was crazy. Ricky and did. I know Ricky and them thought I was crazy, because one night I was laying in there in bed, and the phone in the kitchen rang. And I jumped up to go answer it, and they thought, because everything, I was having trouble sleeping. I had to go to the doctor and get something to sleep. I got on the phone, I said hello, and hello, it was like I didn't hear nobody, but it was like it was quiet. I didn't even hear the phone clicking or anything. It just went dead. So when we told the law about that, they just said they had checked the phone records. It was just something going on with the phone lines or something.
That's weird.
So I thought, was he there?
Yeah.
Did somebody have him? How long was he alive? I mean, I'm thinking, was he alive on his birthday? Was he not? Don't know. But the law really, they done nothing. They come to the house, like Trooper Miller come up one day. He was doing the whole cases, and he was one, because Ricky started watching a lot of this stuff on TV, of how they kill people, how they got by with a lot of stuff, just things, he just started watching a lot of that stuff. But a cold case came across there one day, and he told me about it. And he said that there was one cop was going in about 30 cases. So this is, the cop did. One night he did. He come up, and I was back in the bedroom. I thought they sent a cop here to see him, and I thought they was joking with me. And I was back in there and said, I finally come out, and when I came out, the cop was standing there, and I didn't think I was crazy. But I told him, I thought they was playing papers, jokes on me. So we talked. He took down some information. all about Squeaky. And he came back one day, and Ronnie was jogging. He come in. I introduced him to Ronnie, and he asked about the last time I seen him closed and all this, his dentist and all this, and I kind of asked questions. Of course, we had to go in for a DNA test because most people that are killed by certain family members, and that's what he said.
Yeah.
I asked him, do you have any? Have y'all found somebody? We thought by doing DNA, we found somebody that said they had found a couple of people that had probably been throughout Morrisburg, 2 bodies up in Princeton that they have to have positive ID on. And
So they thought it was like a serial killer?
well, they didn't say serial killers, dude. They said they had a body that was through out the window in Morrisburg. They had 2 bodies that was up at Princeton, but they have to have positive ID. So they started asking questions. We done our DNA test at night, and then they started talking to me about dental records. So I knew exactly where Squeaky went, and I had to call. And they couldn't release anything, so I had to call Miller. Miller had to get with him because it had to be a court thing, and so he handled all that. So he said, and that's all I know where Squeaky went. So if it was anything found that his medical record would ID, if it was him. So I thought me and Ricky talked. They found him. They've had him, or something. They got him, and they're trying to make a positive ID. I mean, there was rumors how people said that he was shot. Rumors like he was a rat or something. He had a little incident where he had to go to Beckley. He was running around with Chad was one of his friends. He couldn't spend Christmas with us one year. They was down Peterstown, and Chad knew this lady, older lady, and he knew where everything was. He knocked on the door while Chad went in the window, and he stole the money. But somehow they ended up getting Squeaky, so Squeaky went to back for 3 months, and a couple months, and I went and seen him, talked to him, and brought him home today, and brought him out of jail, and he did spend jail, and it was something about a deer got killed down in West Virginia. They said they thought Squeaky had done it, and little things. So the people in West Virginia, I never met him, just the day that when he was going to jail at Union, we talked. Me and his dad was there, and they was taking back. Like, went back and forth, and after 3 months, he got out. He done his time, but they never did find Chad till later. But said Diane, which Chad's daughter had a baby by one of them had a baby by him. So when Ricky still talked to him, everybody said that he was a rat. That's why he got out of jail. But they never got Chad until a long time. But I know Rodney, we lived in Ayers. Rodney walked in the pool hall one night, and Chad Nolan was in there. And when Chad saw Rodney, he said, looking at you, he said his eyes got big. He said he looked like he was scared to death. And Chad said, looking at you, I thought I was seeing a ghost. He's like, did he think Squeaky was dead? He heard rumors that he was dead, but he saw him, he thought Rodney was in him. And he said Chad looked like he'd seen a ghost when he saw him. But that was the only thing I heard. And so he done his time, he came out, and there wasn't no time after that. That's when Squeaky disappeared.
Do you think he had enemies?
Oh, I think so. I think.
You don't have to say.
No, I mean, I'm just saying that I say that he's probably gotten fights with people and stuff. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Whether it could have done with relating drugs or not, I don't know. I do know that one thing that I always thought happened. But when you try to talk to law or something about them, Giles County is just like, Ricky's talked to the Giles County cop. He had Poncho up there, Million, I can't pronounce his last name. But it's like everything went dead. But to get back to what had happened. That Miller cop, after that case aired, was supposed to be in after he talked to me that day.
Mm-hmm.
And we never heard from him. We tried to call back, not to get off the subject. Ricky did, and just like, he don't work there anymore. And nobody else got in contact with us, but I think Ricky got a hold of somebody else, and they had told him out there that he was no longer there, or he's no longer on the case. It was dropped. But
Wow.
we had a situation back in 2009, and I think I can't swear to it, me and Ricky. I've talked to Ricky about it, and we've talked years, about it, and still talk. People at work even asked me about psychic thing. I never had one the whole time until probably 2 years ago. But get back to enemies, yeah. 2009, his dad was hit by a car. He was dating a girl down from Peterstown, and they had some brothers, and we was all at the house, say I was up there at night too. We was all up there, but he was dating a girl, and I was up there. Grandpa lived next door, and I had the kids, Rodney was my youngest, and Squeaky was up there with the boys. Was probably around Squeaky's age. They got up on the hill, and I don't know, a fight broke out. And his dad got hit by a car. And the ones that hit him was the girl he dated's brothers. And one of the brothers that was up there had a girlfriend. They had a baby together, but later on, when all this went to court, when Ricky was hit that night by the car, I had to identify that he was the driver of that car, and they sent him away to jail. Sent him away to jail. When they sent him away, he lost his wife, he lost his child. Figured he was upset, but when he went to jail, he was out of jail after he hit Ricky. He pulled his time, but he got back in jail for some reason. The guy did.
Yeah.
And the day when Squeaky had to go to the Beckley jail, that guy was in there.
Oh, wow.
He said the whole time he was there, he gave him dirty looks. He stared at him and stuff, and they went to church. There was a little church thing in there. And he said he gave him dirty looks. So see, when Squeaky got out, that's what we kind of, I don't know, I thought, but see, later on, they said the guy had shot himself and killed himself. So,
oh, wow.
The guy did.
Wow.
He tried before, because, see, years ago, before we even knew him, down at Peterstown, he had kind of took a gun. I don't know why he done it for, but he had shot kind of half of his face off or something, and somehow they repaired it.
Oh, wow.
But he didn't look, he wasn't really a thing that but he lived and he married, and he had a boy, a kid, a girl, a boy, and Squeaky was in jail with him in Beckley. He said he gave him off looks, dirty looks. And like I said, when Squeaky came out, I just told Ricky, I said, do you think they're trying to get revenge?
Wow.
Did they meet him? Which Squeaky was the type that he wouldn't have done me if he feared that there was anything not right. He'd run around too. He would know that's what. But then the ones he should have stayed away, because it's just like when he said he used to go through Peterstown, they all tried to flag him down after that incident happened with his dad. He said that he thought half of them was dead. I don't know if it mean by that, or maybe he had passed, because the girl that he used to date, she's moved on. She's away from him. And, the mother and father, I think, has passed too. So no, but they're all.
So they're all gone?
That's what he says. That's what he thinks, but they not. So I'm not for sure. And then somebody come up to the house and squeeze the only thing I ever know. He done his time out there. And hold on a second.
Okay.
He's
Hello?
hold on.
Okay.
We was at the house one day upstairs, and these cops started swarming the house outside. And the only thing I know, Squeaky might have had a speeding ticket. I wouldn't ever know them to do a speeding ticket like that, but John Davis lived next door to us. He's on the fire squad. So, but we was in the house, and when they knocked on the door, they was all, what do we call it? They got the black glasses on. They were asking about Squeaky, Timothy, and we even had pictures, and we even had things in the paper, that we had a lot of stuff. And we said, Timmy, and then he said, you can go next door and ask Tom, because Tom will tell you that boy he ain't been up here, because he's been missing since 2007. And they were standing out there, and Tom probably know, he was standing there because he lived right next door. So they said they were sorry. They didn't know. So I don't know. They never did really, which we was trying to find out. But it's like they didn't want to ask the question why they were looking for Squeaky. Timothy, Squeaky is his nickname.
Yeah.
His papa named him Squeaky because they said when he was born, he cried, like a rat. Yeah. But they came up there, and we still never got an answer out of that. It's like every time when Ricky tries to talk to somebody and say, call somebody about something, it's like it goes dead. It goes dead. It is nothing. It's nothing. And you can't get nothing in the paper. You can't put nothing in the paper. It's nothing. The only thing we had up was our flyer or things that we put up on telephone poles.
Yeah.
In stores. We put some stuff in stores and post offices.
Wow.
And I can see if somebody was really like mean and going out here doing stuff to people and killing people or something, but mean to people. But Squeaky wasn't like that.
Yeah.
He wasn't like that. He was a shy type. He probably had 2 girlfriends in his whole life.
Mm-hmm.
One he really cared for, but he was shy. Yeah. He was shy, but just friends he ran around with. And the last time Bronk was the one he's ring up the house and take food out to him, feed and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
His dad wouldn't have nothing to do with him. Bronk was at a football game, I'm talking about years ago, after Squeaky disappeared. Ronnie and Ricky went up to him and asked him. And he just said that he didn't know nothing about anything. He said he just knew one night him and Squeaky was in Peterstown, and a bunch of people got after him and run. They run, and Squeaky went one way and he went the other way, but he didn't know who they were. And I thought, did you ask them, why are you running from, if you don't know who they are? I mean, if you done something or didn't do something, but Bronk never would. I think he was lying.
Yeah.
I don't know if he set Squeaky up for something, because there's a lot of people in Peterstown that did a lot of things, drugs and things. But I tell you, I'm just saying that if he was the only one that got killed for something, and I ain't saying he was in drugs or anything. I mean, I just know that he never done nothing around us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that did stuff and has never I've heard of getting killed or anything around this little community. Yeah. Unless you die in a car wreck or get shot for something, but a fight or something. But I don't know. He just said that they got, and I don't know. I asked Ricky sometime if he ever heard, because, this has been years. You don't hear nothing about Bronk or nothing. I mean, his daddy wouldn't even keep him. And I don't know. That's what Bronk, he could have said anything. He could have told you anything.
Yeah.
It's crazy
how are you able to cope with all this today? Because I couldn't imagine.
Really, when they told me, I don't like to. I try to hold. It's rough.
Yeah. Well, I'll ask you one more thing. We'll let you go. If you could say anything to Timothy right now, what would you say?
I wish you was here. I miss him, but I love him. I wish he was here. I told me how much I look at his picture. I would say I'd love to see him be here with his brothers and sisters, here with the family.
Yeah.
Meet his nieces and nephews. But I wish you see them very much.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No,
There's no reason to apologize.
It's not easy.
I couldn't even imagine to place what you're feeling right now. I'm so sorry.
yeah. We really appreciate you telling your story on your perspective about this, and giving a little insight on how Timmy was growing up as a person. He seemed to be a very loving individual.
Really cared about his
He
family.
was a bad kid. He done what he did, and he couldn't stop me. He ain't no son. He had to be killed for anything.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to him.
Well, what we're gonna do, we're gonna release this, and we're gonna try and post it everywhere we can.
Raise as much awareness as we possibly can.
Absolutely, because as you talked about when it all happened, it didn't seem like a lot of people helped you guys out. So we just wanted, since we have somewhat of a following for this podcast, we wanted to tell his story and just spread awareness.
Yeah, any help that we can get, it would be nice. It really would.
We'll do our best with what we can do.
We'll reach out to any resources we have, and we'll make sure to let you know as soon as we figure something out.
Right, absolutely. We'll let you go. Thank you so much for speaking with us.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
and believe, we're here for you if you need to talk or if you want to share any more stories or any more information or anything like that. We're definitely here to listen.
Yeah, let us know.
Okay.
Yeah, we appreciate you so much. But we hope you have a great night, and we'll keep in touch.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. You have a good night.
You too.
All right,
Bye.
bye. Okay, we're back. That was very heavy. Ruth, thank you so much for opening up, telling your side of it, your thoughts on what may have happened.
Incredibly grateful to be able to have that and to hear that, and
I'm sure a lot of people who were interested in the story are very thankful for you to, talk.
And both Justin and I had multiple people reach out to us
Yeah.
about covering this.
Yes.
Just interested or knew him. And it's very difficult for someone to disappear without a trace. And what you were talking about, I said, if you were to just drop a body into the woods, a hunter or a dog or something would find them. And that's just not true. Why have we not found Gina Renee Hall's body yet?
Exactly.
After all this? And that's so detailed. And people have investigated it since its start time to this
1980.
day. Since 1980 to this very day. And they have done that, and there's still nothing. And I think the only way that you ever find anything is for people to step up and say something.
I mean, she talked about how they only had really flyers to spread the word that he went missing.
And you think of it, 2007. What else happened in April of 2007? The Virginia Tech shooting.
That is true.
April 16th.
Yeah.
Because
we talked about that with the Caldwell Fields case, that even though it happened 2 years after Virginia Tech, it was still a big discussion, and I think it overshadowed that case. And for sure, this probably was overshadowed by the Virginia Tech shooting.
And even just West Virginia, you know, it's just a hop, skip, and a jump away from Virginia Tech.
Mm-hmm.
That
Peterstown, I mean.
Yeah, it really encaptured the mind of all of America as being the largest mass shooting.
Yeah.
But that doesn't change the whole fact of, no matter how big that was, that doesn't make the disappearance of Timothy Dalton any less important.
No, there's still other things that people need to look into.
That's right. And I think Justin and I, in this situation, I think Ruth and that entire family deserves to have that story told.
Yeah.
And if there is anyone out there, this is pleading, this is begging, this is anything you want it to be, to reach out.
Yes.
If you know anything, any sort of lead, any sort of anything, let us know. Reach
let
out
us
to us.
know.
The
or
West Virginia, there is a tip line.
Yeah, if you have any information concerning this case, please contact West Virginia State Police 304-772-5100.
And listen, I'm just to make an appeal. I know that there might be some people, because if someone goes missing or gets murdered and you might be involved, or you might be connected in some sort of way, you might not feel tempted to reach out to the police to share your story. So we'll do that.
Yeah.
You can reach out to me anonymously. I'll send an anonymous tip.
Right.
I'll do whatever, you know, just as long as some information comes out about this and we can get to a point where there's anything.
Yeah.
You know, just anything.
And if someone were to do that, the Cryptic hotline is 540-358-1583. We have all the socials. We have an email. It's crypticoutthere@gmail.com. If you were to do that, we will immediately send an anonymous tip to the West Virginia State Police.
That's right.
Yeah. I think that's all we could do.
Yeah, that's...
Just keep spreading the story.
Please, you know, share this on everything.
With your help, there might be something that would come up that would help this story, this case.
Give some peace of mind, or just a direction, anything, you know.
We don't know if he's dead, but with this being so long, I mean, we don't know.
I mean, the pain with most people who...
Even if he is gone, this family still needs closure. They need to find him.
I need some answers.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, thanks everybody for listening and watching. Like we said, if you could help out, please share this. Spread the word, because this is a very important case to this family. And I'm sure to the community that know these people. And it'll be great. We'd be thankful as well.
Very much so.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of the whole point of doing this, right?
Absolutely.
You know.
Yeah. We have somewhat of a following, and we wanted to spread this story in hopes that maybe something will come out of it. All right. Well, like we said, thanks everybody for listening and watching. You know what to do if you enjoy the show. Josh, I think that's it.
Thanks everybody for tuning in.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, just love your loved ones.
Absolutely. Because you never know what will happen.
Yeah. Thanks again to the Dalton family and Ruth Doyle, and
thank you so much,
everybody, for allowing us the opportunity.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lastly, watch your back. It's cryptic out there.
Such a rush. I guess you had your thing to do again. These lonesome days, an ocean wide, a grain of sand goes on, and I can't reach you now. nothing we can do. Our last endeavor against the weather has broken us in two. My anxious mind, my new best friend. A bitter taste that lingers on my tongue. Now it's too late, we drift away through space and time. I was too dumb to fight it, I can't reach you now. We're forever lost together. There's nothing we can do. Our last endeavor against the weather has broken us in two. Nothing here can save me now. You're drowning in my heart. Say goodbye to all that was. I let you go, my love.